Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we're going to talk about facial recognition technology. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com, which is the main place to get all of our latest content, and of course, subscribe to our email newsletter right here, and use an email that you're actually going to check, please, so you can keep up to date with our work. And if you don't want to do that, well then I want to invite you guys to follow us and join us on minds.com at the Conscious Resistance Network, where I am posting our content every single day, as opposed to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. You can follow us there. And if you don't like those options, then please join our text list, where you can get text updates directly to your phone every time I release new videos and new articles. And that is what you're going to want to do if you want to stay plugged in. Now, a couple months back, I put out this video, back in October actually, called "Is It Too Late to Stop Facial Recognition Technology?" And the answer to that question, I think, was a resounding yes. But we're going to make it even more clear at this point that it's absolutely impossible to avoid facial recognition technology. And if you look at some of the links I put in the last one, the rise of facial recognition technology is now inevitable. Historic judgment as India's nationwide biometric ID database ruled constitutional. Government wants airlines to delay your flight so they can scan your face. Feds force child porn suspect to unlock smartphone with his face. Here's what happens when we allow facial recognition technology into our schools. Military and U.S. law enforcement establishing joint communication network for biometric databases. If facial recognition comes to body cameras, how will government respond? And an older article that I wrote called "Don't Fall for the Body Camera Deception." Each of these make it clear that facial recognition tech is prevalent already in some smaller cases, but is going to be much more widely used and more used in the mainstream in the next 2 years and then in the decades to come, unless people do something about it, or unless people actually decide that they want privacy. So let's first focus on the airports and the TSA. This is just reported last week by Activist Post. U.S. rolling out biometric ID exit program in top airports nationwide, with full implementation expected by 2021. 2021, we're in 2019, so this is right around the corner. As previously reported, the Department of Homeland Security wants to develop advanced facial recognition technology that scans the faces of travelers as they enter and leave the U.S. border checkpoints. Not just international travelers, domestic travelers. That's you, American-born citizens or naturalized citizens, what have you, Americans. They will be scanning your face. And now, according to 346 new pages of documents which were obtained by the Electronic Privacy Information Center and reported on by BuzzFeed, we understand now that these plans include implementing the technology in as many as 20 different top airports within the next 2 years. And this is part of Donald Trump's biometric exit agenda, which was signed into law under the Obama administration and now continued by Donald Trump. And that's how things happen. You know, one of the previous administrations will implement it, and then the new guy comes along and makes it much worse and expands it, right? So according to the documents, the Customs Border Protection's goal here is, quote, identify any non-U.S. citizens subject to the exit requirements who may fraudulently present travel documents, and that it, quote, has no plans to biometrically record the departure of U.S. citizens. That's what the Border Patrol is claiming. However, the Border Patrol also said that it, quote, does not believe there is enough time to separate U.S. citizens from non-U.S. citizens visitors prior to boarding. Therefore, facial images will be collected for U.S. citizens as part of this test so that the Border Patrol can verify the identity of a U.S. citizen boarding the air carrier. They claim that once a traveler is identified and confirmed as a U.S. citizen, their images will be deleted. However, there are problems with this already because the technology inside the airport, it has a lack of restrictions and regulations on how the airports, the airport operators, and how other third parties can use or disclose this data once collected. And we already know that companies like Facebook and others have been gathering face prints for years now, and they're now selling that to other companies who want access to that information. And some of it might just be for advertising, right? There's already augmented reality facial recognition scanning going on in the UK in certain stores where they scan your face, and then based on your social media profiles, they'll show you appropriate advertisements and things like that. So there's going to be some invasive advertisements, but this is getting into another area where the government is now in control of this and rolling forward at a speed that is unprecedented, and most people are not even aware of it. Most people aren't questioning it. 6 major U.S. airports, including Boston, Atlanta, and New York's Kennedy Airport, have already completed trials started under the previous Obama administration, while other tests have been held during the Trump administration in 2017 and 2018. And the biometric surveillance is expanding not only to airports, but to border crossings, bridges, and train stations. So if you think, well, I don't fly, so this won't affect me, you better believe it's going to affect you. It's going to come to you one way or the other. And this is just, again, part of a longer plan to eventually control and dominate and have a digital panopticon war where they know everywhere we're going. They're scanning our faces, and as soon as you leave the house, they already are watching you and keeping tabs on you everywhere. And you add this to the fact that some of you guys may remember when I was on tour last year, I put out a video driving around Texas and showing you guys how the Customs and Border Protection, the Border Patrol, that they believe, according to the law, again, this is why the law is BS and morality matters more, they believe that it is legal for them to search anybody and question anybody within the 100 miles of the border, what they call a constitution-free zone. And all the way back in 2017, Homeland Security basically said that if Americans don't want their faces scanned, that they, quote, shouldn't travel. This is from the DHS's own document. The only way for an individual to ensure he or she is not subject to collection of biometric information when traveling internationally is to refrain from traveling. So that's it. If you don't want to be scanned, then you have to stop flying. At least that's what they want you to believe. Just like when they started to roll out the body scanners and you have the option to opt out, but they don't want people to know about it, you technically still have the option to opt out of facial recognition at the airport. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But I want to paint a picture to you guys of where we're headed. Boston, Houston, New York, Atlanta, all major cities now testing facial recognition in order to get people to fly in and out of the country, talking about trains, talking about buses, talking about all these things. And we are headed towards that Minority Report world. Look to China for the example, where there's 170 plus million security cameras with artificial intelligence and facial recognition technology scanning and creating a mega surveillance state. And then you add that with the social credit system, and you can see that it's very easy to control people's actions and to dictate their lives, and also to cut them out of society if they're not acting appropriately. And just to give you a little more evidence, here's the BuzzFeed News article, U.S. government will be scanning your face at 20 airports, new documents show. And these, again, the documents from the Electronic Privacy Information Center, which were released just in the last couple of weeks. And then just to, again, as another reminder, in October 2018, the TSA released their roadmap for expanding biometrics technology. And biometrics is, of course, defined as the type of technology that involves scanning either the face, the fingerprints, tattoo markings, just different things that identify you and your individual life. That's the bio, and in the measurement with the metrics. So they're measuring your life. They're measuring your specific characteristics. And the TSA's roadmap includes 4 main goals: partnering with U.S. Customs and Border Protection on biometrics for international travelers, using biometrics provided by TSA PreCheck members to enhance the travel experience, expanding biometrics to additional domestic travelers, and developing the infrastructure for biometric technology. The TSA is already carrying out these objectives through smart investments and collaborative partnerships. So again, the TSA makes it clear that they are headed in this direction. And that says right here, later this month, TSA is partnering with Atlanta Airport, Delta Airlines, and Border Patrol to launch the first biometric terminal that uses facial recognition to automate many processes in the travel experience, from the self-service bag drop to ID verification to boarding a flight. So that's another way they're going to sell it to people. It's going to be so convenient. You don't even need your ticket, because as soon as you enter the airport, we scan your face. And this is the TSA's actual document. I'll include all these links below for people who want to dig into this and actually get an awareness of what's coming your way. Thankfully, the aforementioned Electronic Privacy Information Center is actually trying to challenge the Department of Homeland Security in court. They have filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit to determine whether the U.S. government is allowing travelers to opt out of facial recognition scanning at airports. The alternative screening procedures, which are currently legal, should allow travelers to provide ID documents such as passports and avoid facial recognition scanning because it's, quote, not mandatory for U.S. citizens. However, Epic's research has shown that Customs and Border Protection has modified the program to make it increasingly difficult for travelers to opt out. And of course, BuzzFeed reported on these documents, And now they're working in a lawsuit, which was filed on March 12th, 2019, Epic versus Customs and Border Patrol, to try to find out what they are doing, if they are doing anything, to make people aware that they don't have to be scanned, that they can opt out. Or if they're, purposefully and directly impeding and making it difficult for people to opt out. These are the kind of things that they're trying to find out in court. So in reference to my last video, is it too late to stop facial recognition technology? Yes. And this video is hopefully making that more and more clear to people. I might work on some mini documentary style reports very soon about just the growth of tech, because it's artificial intelligence, it's facial recognition scanning, it's 5G, it's the smart grid altogether. And these technologies have potential to do good, but the direction we're headed with the people who are in control, the powers that wish they were, it's going to mean centralization, control, surveillance, loss of privacy, and maybe loss of freedom altogether. And if you don't see this coming, if you're not paying attention, or if you do see it coming, either way, like if you don't see it coming, then I hope that this video can shine a little bit of light for you and make you start questioning these things and maybe dig deeper in it for your own research. But if you do see these things coming, that's not enough. What are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? The TSA has already made it clear with their roadmap. The Border Patrol has already made it clear they believe they have a 100-mile Constitution-free zone. The airports are admitting they're going to be rolling this out everywhere in the next couple of years. And I've given you plenty of examples of facial recognition tech being used in this way. What are you going to do about it? Is there anything you will choose to do about it? Is there anything to do about it? Are you just going to sit here, stay in the United States, stay in your city, stay in your state, and hope that it goes away? Are you just, because it's not enough to just say, well, this is why I stopped flying, Derek. I don't ever fly anymore, so I don't have to deal with it. But again, do you take buses? Do you take trains? Have you ever used a toll? Because the toll roads are using automatic license plate reader cameras, and I'm sure they're going to go on and install facial recognition cameras at these intersections as well. So my point is that it's going to keep growing. We can't just simply ignore it. At least in the United States and some of these Western worlds, there are parts of the world that aren't on this technocracy, this crazy march forward in the name of progress, and don't ask any questions, don't be bothered with any potential negative outcomes. So it's up to us as free, powerful, beautiful individuals to do something, anything, whatever that means, as opposed to just sitting around and doing nothing and just waiting for the rollout to take place and being stuck in a position where we have no choice. Because once the smart grid goes live, I really don't see how it's going to get shut down. I see some people commenting on some of the YouTube videos saying things like, well, if they put up a 5G tower in my home, I'm going to tear it down. Yeah, freaking right. Most of you guys aren't going to do anything. And let's just be real. Most of you are just going to sit by and watch it happen and let it happen. And then what? So those of you who do want to do something, though, I implore you, my brothers and sisters, to start building locally, start decentralizing, start localizing. Check out freedomcells.org, freedom, CELLS.org, to connect and find other like-minded people, to start thinking about growing your own food, to start thinking about health, to start thinking about unplugging from these systems, and to start thinking about defense. What do you do when the 5G smart grid comes to your town? Do you just stay? Do you put up some kind of resistance, or do you move somewhere else where you can avoid it and try to build a community that will be some sort of counter-economic holdout to this smart grid, surveillance grid, panopticon, digital surveillance state? This is the social credit surveillance state, and it's coming. And facial recognition is a big part of that. If you don't see it yet, then you're not paying attention. And if you do see it, but you're not doing anything, well, then I guess you're in the same boat. You might as well not pay attention, because what's the point of paying attention if you're going to do nothing? So I humbly and compassionately request that you, my friends, who are hearing my voice at one point or another, look into this and ask yourself, what will you do when it's required everywhere you go? Will you still get that new apartment if it requires some sort of biometrics? Will you still take that flight if it involves scanning your face? Some people will say, well, Derek, I've been getting a driver's license my whole life, so the state already has a picture of my face. Derek, I've been taking pictures and putting them on Facebook for years and then tagging people by my face. Facebook's already got my face. And that's probably true. They do have our faces in various ways, but part of the whole facial recognition scanning database is they want constant updates, because your faces change, your face adapts, things change. So you can still put up some level of quote unquote resistance or opting out to this by choosing to not participate in these future systems despite anything that may have happened previously. So if you care, then do something about it. And if you don't care, then I guess ask yourself why you don't care about privacy and why you don't care about freedom. And I guess hopefully you can find your own joy. But for me, I want to live in a world that is going to be free from all this nonsense. If I'm ever going to bring children into this world or just start a family of any kind, I don't want to know that they have to be forced into this scan your face, social credit everywhere you go, always plugged into the grid. I want them to have an option. And if we don't build it, there won't be an option. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow us on minds.com at The Conscious Resistance. Sign up for our text list, subscribe for the email newsletter, and bookmark theconsciousresistance.com. Until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.